to see an urban environment, rebuilding neighborhood business districts and creating affordable housing, realizing that the models of the 1880s don't have to be what we look at in the 21st century. Just like Andrew Carnegie built out that railway system to be able to get product to market, the new economy is based on getting people to workplace, which means a modern transit system so that everyone has an opportunity for a new economy. It's about looking at new solutions. Innovation's what built Pittsburgh, not steel. It was the best. Green solutions, solutions that allow the areas that have not seen any development to be developed. And Pittsburgh's going to lead the way in that, because if we're ever going to shed our smoky city image, it's by pushing the envelope on green further than other cities. And guess what? All of you in Pittsburgh, you're definitely going to be a part, and I want you to be good hosts this weekend to bring a lot of these folks back to help us to build that next city, because that's where Pittsburgh is right now. And that's the same way no matter what city you're coming from. There are better ways of doing things. We don't have to live off of a grid system when we can use DC power to use renewable energy and build off the grid. If we want to end drilling and fracking, we can create renewable energy sources. It's already being done in the third world. It should be done in the world that's already been developed. And in cities like Detroit, in Cleveland, in Pittsburgh, where we have vast industrial land that can be redeveloped, we need to be doing these things now. You need to be the grassroots army in order to make it happen. You need to be able to win people's hearts and people's minds and be able to tell them there is a better way. The solutions don't last or not found in 1887. They're found in the ideas of tomorrow. And there will be people who will listen because they look at you as the youth. They look at you as the future. And they look at you with hope. So, these next few days, engage. Open your minds to the new ideas that are out there to change this world by doing it locally. Understand that grassroots support will help to transform things on a local level that then go up, because that's the way that it's always happened, to the federal level. And understand that you have a part in building that new world in the city or the town that you live in. And just take a moment to look around this town and understand if we could have made that great leap over these past 40 years, you certainly can too. Thank you. Enjoy Pittsburgh, guys.
Hi, my name is Gerard. I'm pleased to be able to welcome you to the city of Pittsburgh. I'm pleased to welcome you to this important conference. And in reality, creating jobs, creating many more jobs as we move towards a cleaner economy, a cleaner environment. More than 2 decades after we formed our paper called Our Children's World, we see that the challenges aren't just as bad as they were 20 plus years ago. They're in fact more urgent, and they're more desperate and more dangerous. We see superstorms like Superstorm Sandy. We see tornadoes. We see hurricane season getting to be more aggressive and earlier. We recognize that many of these multinational corporations, pushed by multinational financiers, are making decisions that they can go and produce in countries that have lax, or in some cases next to no, environmental regulation or environmental enforcement. So that in that sense, the environmental movement and the labor movement are inextricably linked together. If we stop, and in particular, the outsourcing of jobs to low-wage, low-environmental regulation countries, we will be able to have those jobs here. We can understand that we can work together in particular on a lot of issues that can be easily dealt with if we get the political will. Some issues will be more controversial and may take longer. But let me give you a couple of quick examples. Most of the schools in America now are more than 60 years old. That means those schoolhouses where our kids are learning have inferior air quality, waste energy, and probably cost a lot more to run than if they were brought up to current environmental standards. If we look at public buildings, again, the statistic that I've seen recently is more than 70% of public buildings are more than 50 years old. Again, energy inefficient, poor air quality, and very costly to run. Let's look at the issue of industrial retrofitting. We've had some examples where we've worked with certain steel companies. For example, at ArcelorMittal, we found one way to recycle waste heat. That saves the equivalent to taking 60,000 cars off the highway. And we did that through a small investment in industrial retrofitting that was brought about by the Blue-Green Alliance in partnership with the federal government and ArcelorMittal. But in reality, there's lots of low-hanging fruit that we could get at right now. And if we took a position that if you're going to use taxpayer dollars, there's lots of clean energy issues we could propose, and we ought to do that with the view that we'll make that in America. If we do that, we will take millions of tons of carbon out of the atmosphere and we'll create millions of jobs over the long run. So welcome to Pittsburgh. We don't believe that it's clean environment or good jobs. We believe it's both or neither. We believe that we can do this in a sensible way, and we need to be much more aggressive in maintaining good jobs here through sound environmental practices, sound renewable energy practice, and we need to be very aggressive about those countries that are doing labor arbitrage and environmental arbitrage and say enough is enough. Global warming is here, and we can work and get it fixed together. Our kids and our grandkids.
As former Dean of Student Affairs at Clark College, Dr. Durley was critical in the consolidation of what is now Clark Atlanta University.
Through Dr. Durley's activism within the civil rights movement and also within Atlanta, Georgia, his leadership has impacted me as a student leader to not just impact my community environmentally, but also socially through my education, my action, and my passion.
Dr. Durley has influenced students like myself to apply their passion for the humanities towards environmental activism and also community outreach.
Thank you, Dr. Durley, for paving the way.
I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings in the movies, and I'm not proud of my address. In the torn up town, no postcode.
Hello, hello, hello. Let me thank Maura for inviting me, Melissa and Malik and Naima. It's so seldom. Well, before I start, let me say this. I am excited. I am excited. I am excited. You know, who would have thought? And I want to personally thank each one of you who are here tonight. I want to thank you, before I begin my remark, thank you for committing yourself to a challenge that is greater than you. Global change, warming, we've got to change it. I want to thank you. I want to thank you because you thought it not robbery to come here tonight and join with your fellow students and others from around the country. I'm thankful because who would have thought that I would be here tonight speaking to you, this distinguished body? Not me, not Mrs. Durley's boy, not a kid who flunked the kindergarten. I shouldn't be here. I started stuttering when I was in the kindergarten, and they kept me back for 2 or 3 years. And they told my mother you would never really amount to too much. But you know, people can put you in a box. They can tell you nobody's concerned about the environment, nobody cares about what you're doing, but never let anybody put you in a box. You understand that your cause is right, your cause is just, your cause is now, and you keep on fighting and you keep on marching. Thank you tonight. Thank you tonight for being unafraid, unapologetically, and unyielding to concerns which negatively impact so many people. Thank you for taking on the new civil and human rights challenges of this day. Global warming. let me say this 4 magic words into your spirit, into your mind, into your thoughts. This is your moment. This is your time. This is the time when you will make a difference. No, everything comes in its own particular time. You're looking at the end product of who many of you will be. I was 18 years old when I started thinking about a movement. I could have cared less about what was going on when I was coming up. There was no voting rights, no civil rights, no human rights, no transportation rights. Get up and you stand up and you say what's right for all of the people that are behind you. You are the power shift. You will make a difference. You must make a difference. I had my time to go out there and stand in battle, but now global change, global climate change, this crisis is more important. People said, Durley, you went to jail 27 times during those days. How can you shift from civil and human rights and talk about environmental justice, talk about all of these things in the environment? And I simply said, if I don't speak out against climate change, environmental dissidence, then I'll be too dead to do anything else. So I've got to continue to speak out on this. Speak out against environmental injustices being imposed upon people. You'll never know what you say. You'll never know what you do. You'll never know who you touch unless you have an internal locus of control that says, when I see something wrong and it's morally wrong, I will speak out against it regardless of who speaks against me. This is your moment. This is your time. There is a moment in time for each of us to understand that we bring about a change. There are 2 ways to tell time in the Greek. Chronos, which means 60 minutes in an hour, so many hours in a day. Then there's another word called kairos, Kairos. Kairos means it is divinely inspired. Tonight at Power Shift in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, this is a kairos moment, and you're a part of it because this is your moment. When I came along, I knew something was wrong. I'm talking about, listen to me now, don't get shook up, don't get it twisted. 1960, young 18-year-old black boy couldn't vote, drinking from segregated water fountains, unequal rights, housing inaccessibility, health care going down the tubes, an unfair justice system, and unequal education. Those were burning issues then, those are burning issues now. Today, it is incredulous to watch what is happening to our environmental planet. We treat the planet like we own it. We were only loaned this territorial ground for a short while, and if we don't take care of it, there will be no future generation. There will be nobody to take over when you all take over. This is your moment. 7 years ago, I knew nothing about all of the environment. I was about AIDS. I was about injustice system in the political system. I was challenging all of the injustices that I saw. But a lady named Laura Seidel, Ted Turner's daughter, came up and said, Jerry, I want you to come and see a film. I went to see the film, and it was talking about polar bears and melting glaciers. I could have cared less about a polar bear. I'm dealing with young pregnant women. What do I need to know about a polar bear in Alaska? But then I began to understand what happened to Katrina, what happened to all the tornadoes, what happened in the flooding. Then I began to see this is all interrelated. If I don't shift my cause and shift my course to tantalize the mentality of individuals, to go down into the very DNA into who they are, we will all be in a world of hurt in another 20 years. So we've got to do it, and you've got to do it because this is your moment. What did I know about energy change? What did I know about fossil burning fuel? What did I know about solar and wind energy and biomass? What did I know about all of these things? But there comes a time when you begin to see Alaska is hot and Florida is cold. Something is wrong. When you look at toxic water and polluted air quality, unclean, unsafe water, I knew I had to do something. all of you here are here to shift the power, to put it in your hands, to make a difference. If not you, then who? If not now, then when? This is your moment. You leave this place. The civil and human rights, that was my moment. Now it's your moment. Speaking out and fighting unfairness, racism, and injustices, those were my moments. Holding politicians and crooked business people to be accountable, that was my moment. Now this is your moment. You will hear so many informed speakers over the next 2 days. You will attend powerful workshops. You will rub shoulders and exchange ideas and review best practices. All of that is for one reason. It is not just to come up here and party and do the electric side and say, hey, what's going on, baby? It's to prepare yourself, because this is your moment to step out, stand up, and speak out against what's happening to our planet. Oh, yes! To prepare for the power shift, this is your moment. You must recognize that climate change is real. Prepare yourself with the facts. Understand the political system, and if the political system is corrupt, change it. Don't sit up and talk about it. I'm sick of folks running their mouths. Every now and then, we need some power shift folks to shift the power and change the legislation that's keeping our children in bondage. You are the power. And don't just come to this conference and say, you know, I had a nice time. I like Pittsburgh. No, get in this movement. Don't say, I'm away from school. I'm away from this. I want you to get in this. Be active. Be prepared. Be excited. Be enthusiastic. Be concerned. Be committed. Be compassionate. Be determined. Be undented. Be unflappable and be unflinching. And go home and make a difference in your community. That's when you know it. This is your moment. I feel good. Thank you for letting me come. Thank you for making my moment. I want all of you to get on your feet and say, this is our moment. 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 God bless you. Thank you.
Do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind, wanting to start again? Do you ever feel so paper thin, like a house of cards, one blow from caving in? Do you ever feel already buried deep, 6 feet under screens, but no one seems to hear a thing? Do you know that there's still a chance for you, 'cause there's a spark in you, you just gotta ignite.
Hello. Hi, my name is T.E.J.A.S. Blaney. I am 12 years old. I am from the Sliammon nation, and my ancestral name given to me by my grandfather, as we say in my language, my kukpa, is T.E.J.A.S, which was the name of someone who helped our village. I would like to thank PowerShift and IEN, Indigenous Environmental Network, for giving me the amazing opportunity of allowing me to share my memories with you and attend this conference and be vocal. And so when I won't elaborate too greatly on my story, because the message that I carry with me is far greater than myself as an individual, because environmental destruction and the destruction of Indigenous rights affects many individuals. But when I was 4 and 5 and 3, my kukpa, my grandfather, and my chichi, my grandmother, would tell me the stories of my people, and they would tell me the stories of my ancestors passed down from generation to generation. I would sit in my kukpa's lap, and he would teach me respect of the land. And he would tell me that we have to respect our Mother Earth, for she is our mother. We have to respect the water and give back because of what we take, because water is life. Respect the salmon highways. We sustain ourselves off of that land. We live on that land. She is our mother. We respect our mother. And when I was sitting on his lap, he would tell me about the times when he was my age, about how he would go down to the beaches in our traditional territory, and he would eat the cockles, the mussels, the clams. He would go and walk on the backs of salmon, how he would be able to speak his language and practice his culture because the resources, and I know I shouldn't be calling them resources because they aren't resources, they're gifts, they're creation. Because those gifts, they were there. And I would believe that those things that he would tell me and the experiences that he would remind himself of with me, you could still do those things. And when I got older, I went to those same beaches, and I traveled to the rivers and the streams, and there was just nothing. There was nothing but signs and toxic warning signs telling me and everyone to stay away from this beach, to not practice our culture. And at a young age, I was a first-hand witness to my tradition not being passed on. At a young age, I was worried. If I can't go down to the beach and harvest the clams and the cockles, now, what will be left for the next generation? What will be left at all? So when I was 8 years old, I was reading through a newspaper looking for an article on otters for my school project, and it was then that I ran into an article about the Northern Gateway Pipeline. And as I was reading those words in the newspaper about a threat, the Northern Gateway Pipeline going from the tar sands of Alberta to Kitimat, BC, crossing over 45 different First Nations territories, going on supertankers from Kitimat down to California, to China, destroying and putting at risk ways of life and life itself. I imagined the stories of my Kukba. I imagined the trees and the water and what we have and what has been left behind, and I realized that I wanted to do more than just feel sad at the end of the day when there was an oil spill and there was nothing left. I wanted to actually do my part to give back what we've taken and leave something for the many generations to come. And so ever since, I've been an activist, utilizing the voice that Creator gave us all on defense of the earth and also on defense of Indigenous rights. And I've realized it's one thing to fight for a dream, to fight for sustainability, to fight for equality, to fight for a passion, and it's also another thing to fight for your future. And being an activist over a short 4 years time, I've realized I've had to do both. And I've also realized the unity. Going to Tanza, in Bandung, Indonesia, and the UN Children and Youth Conference on the road to Rio. It was there that I saw youth my age, older than I was, 10 at the time, younger than I was, with the same passion. I witnessed the inspiration, but also the tragedy of seeing children having to go up to their leaders and telling them how to lead. Children, 9, 8. Stepping up, standing up, saying, you're not leading for my future. You're not leading for my children. You're not leading for my elders. You're not leading for my world, for my home. You're leading to fill corporations' pockets with money. And I witnessed how inspirational that was, but also how tragic that was. And I was always told by my dad and my kukpa and my chicha and my mother to use my voice, because Creator gave all of us a voice for a reason. To use that voice, we were given power and communication for a reason, not to own the land, but to be the caretakers and the stewards of the land, to look up to it instead of looking down onto it. And that we all have a gift. We have a passion. We have something that we love. We have that in our lives for a reason. We have a love of dancing, passion for dancing or for singing. And we have to use that because we were given, each and every one of us as an individual, different gifts for a reason, to share those with each other. And I have made the choice of sharing my passion for my future, which is singing, and spreading the message of opposing proposals, industrial proposals that would hurt my future. And not only opposing, but also saying to different proposals, yeah, because a lot of people as environmentalists or social activists, they think, oh, you guys say no to every single thing that comes in your way, but it's not that. It's just that's all they see. We say yes to many other things. We say yes to our future. We say yes to the protection of our home. So the song that I'm going to be singing is called Earth Revolution. My voice might crack when I go up into the high notes because I just recently came down with a cough and my immune system has failed me, and I am really sorry about that. But just remember that you have a voice, use it, and a gift, share it. And Earth Revolution is about using that voice, and it's also about youth, because the corporations and the companies that are mining our earth and that are destroying the resources and the gifts that are meant to be saved for the many generations to come, and using those for themselves and the generation of yesterday, they won't be here forever, and they'll have to hand down that land that they've destroyed, that they've clear-cutted, that they have emptied of beautiful and wonderful life. They'll have to give that to us and back to the indigenous people whose land that they stole it from. And what will they give us? What will they give us? A land that's empty of life, a land that, and the air that we're afraid to breathe. That's not the future that I'm fighting for, and that's not the future that we're fighting for. We are the generation of tomorrow, and there are many other generations to come that are sharing the land and the air and the water. And we will fight for our own future. And Earth Revolution is about the youth. It's about using our voice. And it is about an Earth Revolution. And this is Earth Revolution. Out from a distance, still got 1,000,000 miles to go, making a difference. The only trophy I wanna hold, the state of the nations, is poison from pollution. We have solutions, but actions speak louder than words. Oh, stop waiting till tomorrow. Oh, stop living yesterday. Oh, 'cause there won't be tomorrow. If we don't change today, we're generation now, children of the future, Earth's revolution. Creation's crying out and I feel her pain. I can't walk away, so I will do my part to fix what's broken. Give back what we've taken. Hope for the dawn of a new day. Calling out to each and every person. Join me in the earth revolution. Ooh, oh, let's go the distance. We are a million voices strong, facing resistance. But there's a choice between right and wrong. Oh, stop waiting till tomorrow. Oh, stop living yesterday. 'Cause there won't be tomorrow. If we don't change today, we're generation now, children of the future, Earth's revolution. Creation's crying out and I feel her pain. I can't walk away, so I will do my part to fix what's broken. Give back what we're taking. Hope for the dawn of a new day. Calling out to each and every person. Join me in the earth revolution. I've walked this great land. It used to be beautiful. It used to be home. I've seen the river run dry now. Communities have no hope. Where are the tall ancient trees? They replaced them with their concrete dreams. We gotta turn this around. We can fix it. Generation, children of the future, Earth's revolution. Creation's crying out, everything her pain. I can walk away, so I will do my part to fix what's broken. Give back what we've taken. Hope for the dawn of a new day. Calling out to each and every person. Join me in the earth revolution. I'm calling out to every generation. Join me in Earth revolution. Whoa.
Thank you.
A line in my song says that we are Generation Now, children of the future, Earth Revolution. And what I meant by Generation Now is that we are the generation of today, and the Generation Now meaning that we are the generation that is changing things and is going to have to change things. And when I see, everyone here that's passionate about being the generation now, I have so much faith in that, we are the generation now. So, as I said, remember, you have a voice, use it, and you have a gift, share it. Thank you.
You know that clean coal is a dirty lie.
I think global warming is not a crisis.
It's not a crisis.
It's a potential minor problem.
Oli ami planetim relocation. Because lo solwara emi guanta pa, change lo climate na.
At the rate emi woklong gono island woklong sink, and by island sink pass or olman by day pass lo hangire.
Money olman by day pass lo hangire.
We have 70 acres here, and I can't convince them that they need to drill somewhere besides 200 feet from our house.
The boom is happening all over the country.
450,000 wells, times 18, times 1 to 7 million gallons, is something like 40 trillion gallons of water, all of it infused with the 596 chemicals in the fracking fluid.
There's no question people are getting sick.
Whoa, Jesus Christ.
You're not my enemy, and I'm not yours. We're all victims of the same coal companies. It's just that you're on the top of the mountain and I'm down at the bottom.
Oil spill in the We're
setting up a wall of fire.
Instead of fighting against environmentally unjust permitting decisions every week, why don't we promote something, play offense?
We can't have a green movement that says, if you've been to prison, we have no place for you. We won't give living people a second chance. That's not the green economy we need to build, sisters and brothers.
Cape Wind represents the largest single greenhouse gas reduction initiative in the United States.
We think this is a good recycling project, if you will, recycling urban land.
I have a strong feeling about solar actually being the new explosion for the future.
To see this land and to know there's not going to be an oil rig, there's not going to be a road cut right through the middle of it. There's no way that I could ever regret what I did.
I think it's fair to say you are unrepentant.
Yes.
If I want something to change, I gotta change.
You are powerful. You can change the world. Why aren't you?
You're not alone if this is happening to you, because I'm in the same boat you are. And what we need to do is we need to get together and we need to stand up and we need to speak with a unified voice and we need to stand up to these assholes.
Welcome to Fraxylvania. I want to tell you a little something about that song that I just played, that I learned from Pete Seeger. I was introducing him. If you don't know who he is, you can Google him later. I was introducing him, 94 years old, one of the great authors of this movement and of this country. And he said, you know, that was the biggest hit song of 1814. A fellow sang that song in a bar, and it was such a big hit, he had to sing it twice. And at 4 miles an hour, clip clop, all the way across the United States, that became the most popular song in our nation. And 100 years later, it was adopted as our national anthem. And if a bar song can become our national anthem, then really we're all just making the United States up as we go along. And anything is possible. You are writing the next great chapter of the United States of America. The movement to ban fracking has spread all over the world. In France, we just won. We have the entire country of France banned fracking. The Netherlands just banned fracking. We have, all right, the Netherlands. We have a movement to ban fracking in 9 countries in Europe, in South Africa, in Australia. New York State is still frack-free. There are 5 ballot initiatives in Colorado. There's one in Michigan. There's a ban fracking movement in California. But do you know where all of this started? Do you know the first place in the world to ban fracking? That's right, the great city of Pittsburgh. Doug Shields, the city council. It starts here. You're on hallowed ground in Pittsburgh. When the natural gas industry came to my doorstep in the upper Delaware, in Pennsylvania, across the state, in the watershed, and I knew that I was surrounded by people who had least, this was probably the loneliest and scariest day of my life. But I'm not so lonely anymore. How does it happen? How does a room like this happen? I was down in Guy, Arkansas, a place that had 1,000 earthquakes in a year, Arkansas. And I met this lady named Susan Fry. She was the earthquake lady. She had a plumb bob attached to the bottom of her coffee table. Every time it moved, she looked up the earthquake on the website. Sure enough, there was one. Now, most of those quakes were microquakes. But then a 4.7 knocked her husband off of his lazy boy and put cracks in the walls of the local high school. And I imagine that as he hit the ground, something happened. Or Amy Ellsworth in Colorado, who was, water was so flammable and contaminated with methane that she could light it on fire out of her sink. She was showering in the dark because she was so afraid that a spark from her light bulb would blow her up in her shower. And I can imagine her standing there dripping, naked, in the dark, terrified. Something happened to her. Or the G family in Tioga County, Pennsylvania. 5 generations on the same land. Shell built a 6-well horizontal fracking pad 200 feet from their bedroom window. Their pond was contaminated, their water was flammable. They had to sell out and sign a non-disclosure agreement selling their house of 5 generations to Shell. And as they walked out on their First Amendment rights, forced to walk out on their First Amendment rights to tell their own story, and they left the house and closed the door and realized they didn't need to lock it, I imagine something happened to the G family. Or Lois Frank, my good friend, the former chief of police of the Blood Tribe in Canada, who stood between her ancestral lands and invading fracking trucks. And as she was arrested, the former chief of police, just like so many were arrested in New Brunswick yesterday, I can imagine something happened. With drilling and fracking in 34 states, frac sand mining in half a dozen others, tar sands development in the West, oil shale in California and North Dakota, deep water drilling in the Gulf, superstorms in the East, mountaintop removal for coal destroying Appalachia, the Keystone Pipeline proposed to run straight down the center of this country like a scar that won't heal. We are all members of frontline communities. We are all in the target zone. That's our story. That's what's happening to us. That's why we're here. So, President Obama, what happened to you? We delivered you 650,000 signatures on a petition to ban fracking on public lands. What happened to you that your response was silence? It was a grassroots movement that elected you president. How can you be ignoring the largest grassroots movement for environmental justice and democratic reform in the last several decades? This is on you. We don't just need you to stop the Keystone XL pipeline. We don't just need you to ban fracking on public lands. We need you to go out there and campaign for us the way we campaigned for you. I know there can be no democracy. There can be no democracy without freedom from fossil fuels. I'll say that again. There can be no democracy without freedom from fossil fuels. I know. I have a coal-fired power plant vibrating in my pocket. The text message reads, LOL, I just blew up your favorite mountain. I have a fracked gas well at home in my kitchen. I vote for okra and for brook trout that I caught behind the house, but if I don't storm the streets, then my recipe doesn't include democracy. I have an oil spill on every station in my car radio. I have trails of exhaled carbon floating in supermarket aisles with 3,000-mile tomatoes and 6,000-mile kiwis, and every meal that I eat has a frequent flyer account. Every buzz and click and whir and chime on one or another object to me, clinging to me, is my consent. But I have to remain optimistic. I know we can run the world on renewable energy. I met winemakers in Ardèche, the origin of that ban fracking movement in France. They won. They said, we're fighting off fracking to defend our wine. We have to be optimistic. We make wine. It's our job to make people happy. And as a filmmaker, I feel the same way. And as a participant in this movement, I feel the same way. We are creating change right now. We are creating a change in the climate right now. The change in the political climate, the change in the climate of how it feels when we come together as communities, the change in what it means when we believe in ourselves. That's climate change I can believe in. We have to have values going forward even as things change. We must remain human, as Tim DeChristopher said last time at Power Shift, even as the climate changes. So what do we have to do now? We have to do what feels right. Look, I'm not an organizer. I can't organize a sock drawer. I don't even have a sock drawer. Some of you know what I'm talking about, but I can make a film. So that's what I did. And you have to enter this movement in whatever creative way your individuality summons you to. But that's not all. You have to be a foot soldier. You have to show up. When Bill McKibben and Naomi Klein told me, come and show up in front of the White House and get arrested to stop the Keystone XL, I showed up. And when the great organizers of this movement call upon us to stand in Illinois, to stand in front of the drilling rigs before they roll in, when we pledge to defend that home state of Obama and make it an issue for him, we have to show up. When our Democratic candidates in the state of Pennsylvania, we have 6,000 gas wells in Pennsylvania and 1,000 families have petitioned to the DEP with water contamination. And not single Democratic candidate right now running for governor supports what 62% of Pennsylvanians support, which is a moratorium on all gas drilling and fracking in the state of Pennsylvania. When those Democratic candidates don't stand up for the majority of the people, when the organizers call upon you to bird dog those candidates, those men and women seeking to represent this state, you bird dog them until they support the moratorium. Because if we're not in the streets, we're not anything. I know, movies don't change the world. Our own individuality is a small part of this. Organizing changes the world, showing up changes the world. And we can find a way, if we can find a way to take those great collective actions, I know that you'll write a great story, you'll write a great song like the girl right before me, and that you're going to write history and you're going to change the world. Thank you.
Wasn't Josh Fox amazing? I have to say that he's probably my true hero. So that was, I'm sorry, I was a little starstruck when I saw him off stage, so that was amazing. I'm Ashley Williams, and I'm a 22-year-old college student from IVCC, and I live in Ottawa, Illinois, and I'm fighting the proliferation of frac sand mining in my community.
Yeah, give it up. She's in the belly of the beast. And I'm Victoria Kaplan. I grew up in Los Angeles and just a couple miles from the largest urban oil field in the country, which is in Los Angeles. Anybody else here from Los Angeles? All right, right in the front row. Thank you. All right. And we're up here tonight to tell you a little bit about the fight that Ashley's fighting and to launch a contest this weekend where you could win a $300 budget for the campaign that you're running. How does that sound? Could you use $300 for your campaign? Woo! All right.
So my town of Ottawa, Illinois lies just 2 hours outside Chicago, and it's home to one of the most cherished state parks in the nation, Starved Rock State Park. The other year, I found out that a company called Mississippi Sand wanted to open up a frac sand mining operation directly adjacent to the park. The quartz silica that will be harvested in this process is used in the toxic brew and hydraulic fracturing. In my community, when you step outside those doors, you can literally see the fine glass shards in our air. This is what we breathe every single day of our lives. The topic became my very first college English composition paper. The deeper I delve into this issue, the more horrified I became for my community, which ultimately, this led me to act. Needless to say, I was irate, so I started a petition. I told everyone I knew, and today I have almost 17,000 signatures gathered in opposition to this mine. In July, I hand-delivered my petition to Governor Pat Quinn. I rallied dozens of people to come along with me. I sat with the governor's chief of staff of legislative affairs to discuss my concerns. My petition helped me build a dynamic network of support. What started as a college English composition paper built into a full-fledged organizing campaign. I believe that the youth must inherit a green revolution, and it's imperative that we recognize that we are the change to ignite this beyond the confines of our classrooms.
Give it up for Ashley. Amazing. And she didn't tell you that she's been to like every city and county council meeting in her community, bringing out other people with her to fight this project in Ottawa. It really inspires me. And also, she also made this shirt that I'm wearing. So she's a multi-talented
Don't crack my mother.
I don't know if y'all can see that back there. So I'm Victoria, and like I said, I also grew up near an oil field which is now being fracked in the middle of Los Angeles. And I also work at MoveOn.org. MoveOn is a community of 8 million Americans from all different backgrounds who are leading, participating in, and winning campaigns for progressive change together. We're nonprofit, and all of our funding comes from small donations from our members. And this weekend, we're running a special contest for all of y'all, PowerShift participants. Maybe you're here with a campus or a community campaign. You've already got a campaign running. Or maybe you're here to learn, and you learn about something that really makes you angry. There's a lot that makes me angry, and I'm sure I'm going to get angry this weekend too. So here's how the contest works. Start a petition at moveon.org/powershift. That's pretty easy. moveon.org/powershift between now and 5 p.m. on Sunday. And send that petition out to everybody you know. Post it on Facebook, on Twitter, email it out. And the campaign, the activist that gets the most signatures on your petition by 5 p.m. on Sunday will win a $300 budget for materials for your campaign. You can use that to print banners, flyers, buy materials for puppets, whatever it is that you want to buy, materials for your campaign, that's what this is for. So again, it's moveon.org/powershift. That's where you go. Start your petition before 5 o'clock on Friday and see if you can get up to 17,000 signatures like Ashley has. Thanks so much, and let's shift the power, y'all.
Shift the power, y'all.
Dreams brought me into reality. Look at me now. Look at me now. Dreams brought me into reality. Look at me now. Look at me now.
That's what I get for being so efficiently sized. I can't look over that. Hello, my name's Yudith Neito. I'm traveling here from Houston, Texas. I live and I work in the refining community of Manchester in Houston. And I don't know, I've never been in front of so many people at the same time, so excuse me if I'm a little nervous. It's really great that I'm here with all of you, feeling this energy and seeing your potential and how much you want to see change in this world and working together to envision that new world we want to live in. And we're on the path to that, I think. I think it's great that y'all are here. I'm so proud to see so many youth, so many young people talking about these things and caring about them. And for a long time, I cared about that silently. I cared so much about so many things that I wanted to see in the world that I had given up. But I started to realize that it was my responsibility to my community and my family and this world, our mother, this earth. This is where we live. You know, this is where you are experiencing your life every day and where you're evolving. And I was so proud to hear the youth that came up earlier, Takaya. She's just so wise and she's so young. And I want to see more of that. And we have those kids. The community where I come from is very heavily polluted. It's a refining community, and this is where our biofuels come from. This is where all our plastics are coming from. And I look at their websites to check for updates to see what else they're up to. And their slogans haunt me because I see them state in their websites that they help give everyone a better quality of life. They claim that they make our lives so much easier, which in a sense it's true. We become accustomed to going to the store and buying a water bottle. You know, you want to save your leftovers and you want to put them in a plastic container. And it's somewhat of a luxury, but we don't think of the people that are being sacrificed every day to make these things, to make our lives easier. And I'm glad to see all of you here thinking of these things And I hope that you remember that there are people being sacrificed for this better quality of life. And I'm one of them. And so we know that every area of our culture needs renewal. You know, we need to transform the way that we've been doing things, find a better way to find this energy that we need to thrive, you know, because we are just surviving. Some of us are barely surviving. And we need to reflect upon that. We need to see what change is going to be sustainable in our own personal lives, you know. What kind of decisions are we making where we're contributing to this problem that we're dealing with, which is climate change, environmental injustice, environmental racism, destruction of our resources, of our gifts, destroying our lands, our water, our air. We need to see within ourselves how we want to change this world. Because you are in charge of the universe, as I heard recently, and you are responsible for that change. And I say this with love and compassion in my heart for all of you as well as me and my community, because I've also heard we are one breath. What I breathe, you breathe, even though you're not living down the street from the petrochemical industry. Our waters are being poisoned. We can no longer grow our own food in my community, and that's food injustice. So the challenge here is, who wants to get down and dirty and do the work that needs to get done? So I'm sure all of y'all have so much potential and so many gifts and talents and skills that you're probably not aware, or you're probably not thinking so much about, but I'm sure you do. And I know that you can use those gifts that you were given and those skills that you have developed and help to build this movement to where it's more inclusive, more diverse, and fair and just. Because we also need to remember, environmentalism is a completely different thing than environmental justice. And some people don't understand, and it's not their fault, because we live different experiences every day, and we need to help them understand, because that is also our responsibility. It is not for us to get angry, even though I have been there, but it's also helping them bridge that gap that has been imposed on us by these institutions and colonialism and capitalism and all these really controversial things that sometimes we don't want to talk about. So yeah, let's work together in solidarity and mutuality, because we're all in this together. Like I said, this is our world. This is our mother. And we need to honor our mother and the gifts that were given to us, and understand other people's, other ways of life, other cultures, and work with them, because there is wisdom and knowledge in all of us, regardless of our degrees, our titles, and where we've come from. We have our own knowledge, and the frontline communities are experts in this struggle. So we need to listen to them. They need to be our leaders. There is no way that an outside person from a community can teach them how to fight their own fight. So I don't know, I'm gonna leave it up to you to think and reflect on that. Because there's so much else that I can say, but ultimately it has to come from within you and hear your own conscience, because that's also been shut. That's also been compromised with, even if you don't think about it. We've been conditioned to be fearful. And I'm proud to say I have a healthy disrespect for authority. And sometimes we have to, you know? When you know in your heart what is right, you need to fight for it, and that's why we're here. That's why we're here listening, and that is the best thing you can do, is listen to people. Because you learn so much from them, and you learn so much about yourself when you listen. And that's what's going to make this movement stronger. Because this was not started by big groups that claim that they started it. This started with us. This started with us living and getting sick and realizing that our land is being poisoned. Yeah. Is that?
Hey, y'all. My name is Jessica Sarante, and I work with the Rainforest Action Network on our new campaign that we're calling The Last Stand of the Orangutan. In this campaign, we're demanding that 20 of the biggest snack food producing companies in the world cut conflict palm oil from their products. Yeah. So for the last 6 weeks, I've been traveling around the country visiting these snack food companies and visiting RAN activists all over the US. And it is so awesome to finally be here in Pittsburgh at Power Shift with you all. But before I say any more about our campaign, check out the new video that we just launched.
Ready? Orangutans can't speak for themselves, but if they could, they would tell us that much of the palm oil used in America's snack food is being grown by cutting down rainforests that are orangutans' only home. But we can stop it. By telling brands that use palm oil there's a better way. We'll use our customer power to demand change before it's too late. The power is in your palm.
So, conflict palm oil is in roughly 50% of the products on American grocery store shelves. Palm oil production, in addition to driving orangutans to the brink of extinction, also uses widespread child and forced labor practices and is the leading cause of deforestation in Indonesia and Malaysia. Indonesia is the third largest greenhouse gas emitter in the world after the US and China, and 85% of these emissions come from the deforestation and degradation of carbon-rich peatland rainforests, most of which occurs due to the expansion of the palm oil industry. To put that into perspective, the amount of carbon pollution coming from deforestation in Indonesia each year is more than all of the cars, planes, trains, and ships in the United States combined annually. Until now, the threat of this growing industry has largely been sneaking under the radar. And while it's horrifying how ubiquitous palm oil is, it also means that we as Americans have leverage. So if we're going to stop conflict palm oil in its tracks, it means we're going to need a critical mass of people standing up and demanding change from the Snack Food 20. Over the next few months, Rainforest Action Network is aiming to collect 60,000 photo petitions of people demanding that the Snack Food 20 eliminate conflict palm oil from their products. And with 60,000 people demanding change, these companies will have to listen. So right now, I want to ask you all to stand with RAN and stand with the last orangutans and help us to take a group photo petition to show the Snack Food 20 that we won't stand for our rainforests being destroyed for snack foods. So if you could all stand up. Awesome. And just like in the photo at the end of the video, everyone put your palm out like this. And we'll take a picture of all of you. Yeah, you all are awesome. Sweet. Did we get it? Awesome. Thank you so much. It's awesome to be here with you. Have an awesome weekend. Take care.
Dreams brought me into reality. Look at me now. Look at me now. Dreams brought me into reality.
What's good, Power Shift? Are y'all tired already? Who drove the fighters? Who's here from California? Yes. Awesome. Well, I'm from Los Angeles. My name is Tiffany Dina Lofton. I am the Power Shift coordinator. It is such an honor to be here in front of you all. You all look gorgeous from this stage. I was nervous, but you all look amazing, so I'm fine now. I have the really blessed opportunity of introducing a close friend of mine. I met him about a year and a half ago in Miami, Florida. We had a retreat to talk about intersectionalities in the movement. We had a retreat to build new leaders, to talk about Black and brown youth who were facing injustices in the state of Florida. And I would have never thought that a year later we would be marching on the Easter weekend of 2012 to the police officer station after the injustices of George Zimmerman was acquitted and after Trayvon Martin was killed. This group of people has changed the world. And people have seen them all over the internet, all over Twitter, all over the news. The Dream Defenders have definitely stepped their foot in. And they're They're in the room. Dream Defenders, make some noise. They are here. They drove 15 hours to be here with you all. So they are here. And I have the honor of introducing their executive director, the most humble person that I know, a very good friend of mine, spoke at the March on Washington, the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington, Mr. Phillip Agnew.
Okay. Good evening, Power Shift. Oh, man. Oh, man. How are y'all doing? Y'all awake? Okay. All right, I want to thank you all for having me. Before I begin, I like to get a few things out of the way. I like to make sure that we have a common understanding. As Tiffany said in the introduction, I am the executive director for the Dream Defenders. They are in here somewhere. Okay. Okay. And we stayed in the capital of Florida for 31 days in response to the Zimmerman verdict. And as Tiffany said, I had the pleasure of speaking at the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington. And none of that means nothing. None of it means anything. I am and we are no different than any of you. I come here as a comrade. I've come here not because I was invited, but because I needed to be here. I'm honored to be here, to join in the fellowship, to learn, to build, to plug in, and to connect. The Dream Defenders are fighting just like you for a tomorrow that looks far better than our yesterday. To be in a room filled with broken people hell-bent on fixing this world. For I too am broken. I too have felt lost. And I, like many in this room and the millions outside of it, felt powerless and just generally low on energy. You know, as long as we can remember, they've said that America has an energy crisis. Since I was very little, they've said that America has an energy crisis. We've scrambled to find alternative sources of energy. We've sponsored and supported wars in the world over, looking to fuel our lives and our conquests. We've watched as our leaders have debated our dependence on foreign sources of energy. And we've watched as fearmongers threaten that if we do not succumb to our insatiable desire for fuel, that we will be cast into darkness. As I said just a few moments ago, I'm here to connect. Now, many of you all may not know this, but for the past few months, I've been feeling a bit disconnected. And I hope it's not a reach to say that many times in our lives, we all have felt disconnected from power, from energy, from light. But it is in these times when dark clouds gather on the horizon and the weight of loneliness starts to weigh on my shoulders that I do my best thinking. And I began to think of the great irony that America, the beautiful, has placed on its people. For it is America that has taught us to search for foreign sources of power and ignore the energy sources bubbling within. It is America that has taught us to be dependent on leaders and on figureheads for our energy and for our power and ignore the true power within. It is America that has sent us on this never-ending search for power that we were born with. It is our birthright. It is in here tonight. So it is that I came here tonight to connect with each of you all and to feel the electricity that pulses through this room. And so it was that in my darkest hour that a sister from Ace named Lana Dawson reached out and brought day to my lonely island. And it was when darkness and depression began to weigh out and black out my happiness that it was my brothers Jabari and Kevin that brought light into my darkness. So I came here today not just to connect, not just to feel the electricity in the room, and not because you needed me, because I needed you. I needed you to remind me, to remind you about something that America wants us to forget. That inside each of us is what our Gnostic sisters and brothers call a divine spark. In prison, waiting to arise, waiting to be unleashed. It's been there since birth. It's been there since we were born. As children, we knew it. Don't you remember? This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. We knew it. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. As children, we knew it. This little light of mine, it emanated from within. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. And America taught us to forget it, but all in my home, I'm gonna let it shine. Y'all can sing with me. All in my home, I'm gonna let it shine. It bubbles from within. All in my home. I don't mind looking like a fool in front. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. See, we've come here from a very dark world. We've come here to represent communities where power has been shut off, plunged into darkness and blacked out. But it is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. So we know that inside all of us there lies a spark. Scientists contend that inside each of us is enough energy to charge a 1-ton battery. And the Bible tells us that when 2 or 3 are gathered together, there is power. So know that to your left and to your right, there is power. And even now, I can feel a power coursing through my veins. It began in my heart, it's charging my cells, and it's now racing to my hands. And as you raise your hands, you may feel a surge with the power to shift the course of history, to shift politics in this country, to shift the powerless to the powerful, to shift sadness to unspeakable joy, to shift the conversation on climate. For darkness cannot drive out darkness, only the light can. So whether your calling is global warming, whether your mission is carbon emissions, or whether you feel the ozone way down in your bones, or you have a bad taste for waste, or whether you want to get it cracking against fracking, remember that while you are in this world, you are the light of the world. So look to your neighbor and say, light up the world. Light up the world. Light up the world. As I said in the beginning, I came here to plug in, to be reinvigorated, to be renewed, to be recharged, and to be reconnected. And what the universe brought together, let no country tear asunder. May the outcome always triumph over income, revolution over revenue, good over evil, community over everything, and all power to the people. Now wait. Before the DJ kicks it up, okay, we're gonna do something. It's a chant that we took from the Utah State basketball team, okay? And you gotta repeat after me. The Dream Defenders, I know, are gonna repeat after me. And I know if you know it, you'll repeat after me. I believe. I believe that. I believe that we. I believe that we will. Okay, for this part, we just go crazy, okay? So I'm gonna start over and we end with, I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win. I believe that we will. So that was a trial run. Y'all did great. You all are great. You all are really awesome at this. All right, we're gonna start it. I believe. I believe that. I believe that we. I believe that we will. I believe that we will win. believe that we will win. I 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 believe. Marcus Garvey said we have a beautiful history, and the one we will create in the future will astonish the world. All power to the people.